Today we're covering the real benefits of creatine in a simple, evidence-based way. Creatine is one of the most researched supplements in sports nutrition, and the strongest evidence supports improvements in strength, power, repeated high-intensity performance, and lean mass, especially when it's combined with resistance training. Creatine helps your body regenerate ATP through the phosphocreatine system, which matters most during short, repeated, high-intensity efforts like lifting, sprinting, jumping, and hard intervals. Supplementing with creatine increases creatine and phosphocreatine stores inside muscle, which will help your body maintain performance when energy demand is high. That is why creatine is so useful for muscle performance. Research consistently shows that creatine can improve strength, power, and repeated sprint performance, with many studies reporting meaningful improvements in strength and power-related outcomes. In practical terms, that can mean more reps, better power output, and better recovery between hard sets or intense efforts. When it comes to muscle gain, creatine is most effective when paired with resistance training. A 2022 meta-analysis reported that creatine, combined with the resistance training, increased lean body mass by about 1.1 kilograms on average, which is a meaningful result over time. The key point is that creatine is not magic by itself. It helps support the kind of higher quality training that drives adaptation. Mechanistically, the idea is pretty straightforward. If you can sustain better high-intensity effort, recover more effectively between bouts, and accumulate more quality training volume, you can create a better environment for muscle growth. So creatine supports muscle gain mostly by helping you train better, not by directly forcing muscle growth on its own. Now let's talk about fat loss, because this is where people often get confused. Creatine is not a direct fat burner, so it should never be marketed that way. What it can do, however, is indirectly support better body composition by helping you preserve or build lean mass and maintain training quality, which can improve how your body looks and performs over time. Another important point is that the scale may go up when you first start creatine. Loading will often increase body mass by around 1 to 2 kilograms in the first week, which is commonly linked to an increased water retention inside muscle, not body fat gain. That's why your progress should be judged by your strength, performance, and body composition rather than scale weight alone. Creatine has also been shown to support the brain. A 2024 systematic review and meta-analysis found significant benefits for memory, attention time, and processing speed time, although the effects were not consistently significant across every cognitive domain. So the most accurate takeaway is that creatine may support brain energy and some aspects of cognition, but the evidence is still developing and should not be oversold. There's also interest in creatine for healthy aging. Reviews in older adults report benefits for muscle strength, lean mass, and functional capacity, especially when creatine is paired with resistance training. That matters a lot because maintaining strength and muscle function is closely tied to long-term independence, mobility, and metabolic health as you age. As for dosing, creatine monohydrate is the most commonly used form of creatine, and the average dose is 5 grams per day. Some people will do a loading phase of 10 to 20 grams per day for the first week, usually split into 2 or 4 doses. This is going to saturate your muscle faster, but loading is not required if you're going to be consistent over time. The bottom line is creatine monohydrate is one of the best supported supplements for improving high-intensity performance and helping increase lean mass when combined with training. It's not a fat burner, but it may help body composition indirectly, and the evidence for brain support and healthy aging is promising, even though more research is still necessary to make any conclusions. Like most supplements, it works best as part of a bigger system that includes smart training, enough protein, good sleep, and overall quality diet. We're going to take a look at some of the most common ingredients in your pre-workouts and what they actually do. We're going to look at L-citrulline, beta-alanine, caffeine, L-tyrosine, taurine, cognizin, and alpha-GPC. We're going to connect each compound to a clear mechanism and a realistic benefit for you to expect in your workouts. The purpose of this is so you're able to look at the ingredient label of what you're going to purchase and understand what you're buying. We're going to start with L-citrulline, which is an amino acid that supports nitric oxide production. When you take citrulline, your body converts it to arginine, which is then used by nitric oxide synthase enzymes to produce nitric oxide. Nitric oxide will help blood vessels relax and dilate, which will improve blood flow, especially during exercise. In pre-workout context, better blood flow can mean more efficient delivery of oxygen and nutrients to working muscle and more effective removal of metabolic byproducts. Subjectively, people often describe this as better pumps and sometimes a smoother endurance feel during sets or intervals. Beta-alanine. It's a building block for carnosine, a dipeptide stored in muscles that helps buffer hydrogen ions during high-intensity exercise. As intensity climbs, acid builds up inside the muscle, and carnosine helps resist the drop in pH that contributes to fatigue. Supplementing with beta-alanine over time raises muscle carnosine levels. Practically, this is useful for efforts in the roughly 1 to 4 minute range, like hard intervals, high rep sets, or circuits where the limiting factor is burning fatigue, not pure strength. Also the ingredient that causes tingles or pins and needle sensation in pre-workout, which is called paresthesia. It's a side effect, not the mechanism or performance benefit. Next, the most common one, caffeine, a central nervous system stimulant and adenosine receptor antagonist. By blocking adenosine, it reduces perceptions of fatigue and sleep pressure and increases alertness and vigilance. It also increases catecholamine signaling, which can contribute to greater drive, effort, and a slightly higher release of fatty acids into circulation. For training, caffeine can improve vigilance, reaction time, perceived effort, and exercise performance, especially for endurance and high-intensity work. Flip side is sensitivity to caffeine. Some people experience anxiety, jitters, or sleep disruption at doses that others tolerate well, so timing and dosage to the individual matters. L-tyrosine, it is an amino acid precursor for catecholamine neurotransmitters, including dopamine and norepinephrine. Under conditions of stress, heavy cognitive load, or prolonged wakefulness, catecholamine stores can be more challenged, and providing extra tyrosine may help support their synthesis. In a pre-workout, tyrosine is typically used with the idea of supporting focus, motivation, and cognitive resilience in a high-stress or high-effort environment. The more cautious way to phrase it is that tyrosine may help support catecholamine-dependent functions like alertness and focus, particularly when the nervous system is under demand. Next is taurine. Taurine is a sulfur-containing compound that plays roles in osmoregulation, calcium handling, and cell membrane stability. It is abundant in excitable tissues like heart and muscle. It appears to contribute to cellular hydration status and may influence contraction and recovery dynamics. In the pre-workout context, it's often positioned as supporting performance, recovery, or cell volumization, and sometimes as a counterbalance to harsher stimulant blends. Evidence suggests potential benefits for endurance, some aspects of performance, and overall cellular support, but it's not a pure stimulant. Think of taurine as more of a supportive cellular environment nutrient than a high-impact acute performance booster on its own. Most supplements with caffeine will be paired with taurine. Now let's get into cognizin, which is a branded form of citicoline. Citicoline, or CDP-choline, is a choline donor that participates in phospholipid metabolism and supports the synthesis of acetylcholine. Choline is needed for acetylcholine production, and acetylcholine is the neurotransmitter heavily involved in attention, learning, memory, and neuromuscular junction signaling. Cognizin is marketed for cognitive support, focus, mental energy, working memory, and attention. In a pre-workout, citicoline is typically included to support the mind side of training, concentration, staying locked in, and maintaining cognitive performance as you push the body, known as a nootropic. Finally, we have alpha-GPC, which is another choline donor that can raise plasma choline levels and support acetylcholine synthesis. Because acetylcholine is critical at both the neuromuscular junction and in brain regions involved in attention and memory, alpha-GPC is often used to target both physical and cognitive performance. In the training context, there's usually two roles alpha-GPC is framed around. First, supporting explosive movement and neuromuscular output, and second, supporting mental focus and task engagement. The evidence base is still developing, but mechanistically, the acetylcholine support story makes sense, especially for high skill or high focus sessions. So to wrap this up, here's how to think about these ingredients inside of a pre-workout. L-citrulline and beta-alanine are mostly about muscle side performance, blood flow, buffering, and the ability to maintain high intensity work for longer periods of time. Caffeine and L-tyrosine are mainly central, targeting alertness, perceived effort, and catecholamine-driven focus and drive. This is going to be what gives you that wired sense of energy and the motivation to want to continue what you're doing. Taurine will support the cellular environment, especially in excitable tissues like muscle and the heart. It's going to be great to pair with caffeine because it helps to calm some of the negative side effects that can come with caffeine. And finally, cognizin and alpha-GPC supply choline to help support acetylcholine-dependent processes that underlie attention, memory, and neuromuscular function. From a coaching perspective, the key is to remember that these ingredients can help you get more out of a session, but they don't replace progressive overload, nutrition, and sleep. Use these tools to support performance and focus on top of a solid foundation, not as the foundation itself.